ideas, seller financing. Uh, yeah, and you know, especially after this call, it's Daniel, right? You will
Correct.
realize there are so many things out there that you could do where you won't need your 20% down. When I first started in real estate over 20 years ago myself, I thought that the only way I could be buying assets is if I had the 20% down to go to a bank to get a loan. And then that changed. In 2013, like after the market crashed, uh, I learned that I could be buying houses, creatively outside of the box, asking the right questions, outside of the box solutions. And the biggest thing is what makes all this happen is relationships and talking to the sellers and finding out what all the pieces are. At the end of the day, you're an investigator. I tell everybody this. And the way you see yourself is like you want to put the puzzle pieces together and then ultimately also build your case. And as you're building your case, one, you're also an educator. You're educating, the seller, you're educating all the parties involved so they could get a win-win solution. So yeah, I got some cool um case studies that we'll go over that I believe will bring a lot of value to you
Okay.
since you want to and to start exploring the possibilities because as you said, multifamily under 4 units. Yeah, I think so your wheels will be spinning
Thank
after
you.
after this.
I like
Appreciate it.
that. And she's got the, creative mind, which, you know, obviously through experience and investigating and pulling your cases together and living through it, I feel like it's one thing to sit in a classroom on our webinar or even go to an event. It's another thing to actually go through the case study or the real life example.
Oh yeah.
I personally and maybe less creative for sure. I bought my
Because you have a
multi-unit.
banking background. We're
Yes,
gonna
yeah,
change that. We're gonna
very
change.
different. Not very linear. Like I put 5, 10, 15, 20% down. I usually get a 2 unit and I live in 1 unit with my now wife. We bought a basement, a row house in Washington, D.C. at the time. I think it was like 2017 and the price was 700, 800,000. And we lived in the bottom unit, rented out the top, and it covered our mortgage. I've heard this
Exactly.
strategy a lot. And the reason I didn't go for 4 unit, because I felt like I really liked the row house. It was really attractive to me, the housing stock.
Mhm.
Like some people are like, it's all for the numbers, man. And I'm like, but I want to like it. I wanted
Of
to
course.
appreciate and value. I thought that was important. And I thought that was very important. So anyway, I bought my real estate that way, and that is a strategy. And I think you should try different strategies and kind of interview people. Even if you're scaling your portfolio, if you've been doing this before, you have to go to the basics. So Ronaldo says that um, we still have to do the basic thing. We still have to practice. We're not anything special. Messi and I, we practice.
That's
It's
true.
nothing. The repetition is the mother of all skill. Is doing the same thing over and over again until you perfect that skill. So I'm all about
Doing
learning different
it right
strategies.
is important
Reading.
too.
The
Say that
what?
again.
Doing it right is important
Of
because
course.
I know there's
Yeah, of
people who
course.
are doing their same thing over and over again, and they're doing
Yeah.
it their own way,
That's true.
and that's not the best repetition.
Right.
No, that is true. That is true.
And it's hard to
Perfect.
break bad habits sometimes too. They're
Yeah,
doing
it's
it
like
wrong and then it's hard to change.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's why many times I love speaking to people who are getting in real estate and they're new and they don't have their way of thinking already established. Because
Right.
then they don't, if your teachability index is not high, if you're not willing to learn, then if you feel like you know it all, you're stuck. There's no growth, right?
True.
So for me, it's important to evaluate, see how teachable are you? Where is your teachability index?
Very true.
And for me, even though I've been in the industry over 20 years, I ask them like, Nayia, am I teachable? Like, am I open to learning? And I want to always have a student mindset because there's always more things to learn. So yeah. Hi, Ethan. Hi, Raymond. Thank you for joining us. So do you
Raymond,
guys know each other?
are you in
Nick?
front? Are you in front of a computer, Raymond?
Oh, I'm on my phone.
Can you put it? Are you? We promote turning cameras on.
Yeah,
even.
yeah. I got you.
There we go. Here we go. Hey, Raymond.
It,
Go ahead, Naya.
Okay, cool. No, Nick, this
Yes.
is your show. I'm here to deliver and bring us immense value. That's my intention. And
All right. All right.
I have a bunch of case studies. I have slides that I can throw it, so if you want me to share my screen, give a quick
Yes.
background for people, and you're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I have a
Yes.
couple of people that want the recording, so please send it to me afterwards.
All right. Cool. So we'll get started here. Try to keep it interactive as
Yeah, for
possible.
sure.
My name is Nick. I am an investor. I'm an agent. We are glad you're here. Today we're talking about one of the most powerful tools in real estate that actually not a lot of people talk about. And almost nobody teaches you how to use it the right way. And that's why I love Naya, because she's been doing this for a while. Seller financing. So again, Nick, I'm founder of Grid LA here in Los Angeles. I'm an agent investor and lead an agent investor community. We have over 30 chapters of Grid now around the nation, built for agents who want to invest themselves and who want to work directly with investors. Agents are the hub, the real estate agents. We're the center of it all. We're the ones that are evangelizing investing, guiding people towards the right strategy and the right deal. That's what we love doing, and that's exactly what today's session is about. So today I brought someone in who lives this every day, Naya. I'll let you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and how you and Grid connected.
Okay, fantastic. So Nayia Pierrakos here. Actually, I'm going to start showing a few slides. Will it let me do it? Guy, I'm not a lawyer. All right. Starting off with gratitude. And Grid is, I have Rob Seves here, the founder of Grid. I've been friends with Rob for over 14 years. And I've been in the real estate industry for a little bit over 20 years. And this is it's a people business, right? So Grid is an amazing network that has supported me for over a decade, and I have supported them. So I started out, I was a real estate agent for over 12 years. I went through the crash in 2008, 2009. And then I got into renovating houses. I became a rehabber. And it was around that time when I experienced, I was so scared. Because I had a couple of assets and I started getting foreclosure notices because my husband at the time lost his job. I'm sure some of you have had some people you know or yourself that have had some experiences like that. And it was that time that, I was asking, like, God, so like I had 3 kids under the age of 5, 3 little ones. And that decision to get into real estate for the flexibility was the biggest, decision maker. And then once I learned how to renovate houses, my first mentor was a rehabber, and using hard money was scary, because not only did I learn what he was doing right, but I also saw the mistakes that he was making. And sometimes he would borrow money from a private lender or a hard money lender for one property, but he would have to use it on this one, on another one, because he would run out of the money for this one. So he was always playing catch up and things like that. So that scared me. And I was asking, okay, God, there has to be a different way. So then I learned, it's interesting. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's when I came across and I started learning about creative ways to do real estate. And I learned seller financing, and I learned about buying houses subject to existing loans. We'll go over that, which is a combination of technically like seller financing. And I have a lot of mixes and examples of that. My biggest why is my kids. Nick mentioned my Greek background. I was born outside of Sparta, Greece. The little house on the left is about 700 square feet. That's the tiny house that I grew up in. Okay, where up top, and then the one in the middle is where I live now, and my kids are on the top right. Like that's our little summer vacation. It was a little shack, but that was my shack. And for me, it's important to know like where you come from, right? And to be grateful. So one of my favorite words is gratitude, and being grateful from where I've been and where I'm at and the people in my world. And Grid is definitely a community that I'm super grateful for. And Nick, thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about myself. Okay, guys, let me see. All right.
I'm loving the slides, by the way. I'm so glad you posted them. I'm loving them.
I have this. And the purpose of real estate, why are we all here? So we can live an amazing life. I've been to Antarctica. I've even meditated like a silent stuff in Antarctica with penguins. I love to live fully. Like I've been to Peru. I've been in different mastermind groups. And there's a book here by Daniel Pink, The Power of Regret. Guys, I don't want you to have any regrets, and I don't want to have any regrets too. So that's why we're all here. And everyone on this call is probably high achiever. They want more for themselves and their families. So we all want to live a better life and pass it forward, not give back. I like saying like giving it forward, because I didn't take anything from anyone that I have to give back to. One of my mentors says, like, I always like giving it forward to other people. So in 2015, I became a national coach to real estate investors all over the country. Once I learned how to use creative strategies, my whole world changed. And buy houses like with seller financing, I felt like I won the lottery, literally. And here's just a little proof. These are all settlement statements. These are wire transfers of more than in less than 24 months of about $1.86 million of properties that I've bought and sold. I don't know if I'm going to go in the right or in this order or not. I might skip things around. So I'm going to tell you, Nick, you tell me, do you want me to go into, because this is the first deal I did creatively off of a Craigslist ad.
Let's do it. I'll say, does maybe before that, is there anything before that you're looking to get out of the call? We could say education or anything specific. Raymond, Ethan.
For me, are you asking me or ask everybody else?
The audience.
Yeah.
we could hear from them to
Yeah,
maybe
guys,
to
please
extract it.
feel free to interact. By the way, Nick, I always use Zoom, so I'm not the best on like Google here. So I don't see, has anyone put any chats, anything in the chat? I don't see anything.
Let's see, nothing yet, but
Nothing yet. But like Nick, you can be help me with the moderating. If you see any questions, like
okay,
Yeah,
feel free to
I
put
have
it
one.
in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
My biggest question when it comes to seller financing is how you find the deals. So that first question there, I'm curious about that.
Okay, good. This is a good question. It's a marketing business. It's a marketing business. Everything is a marketing business. Whether you're a real estate agent or any kind of business that you have to do marketing, and it's lead generation. So, and then
Well,
it
let's
turns
hear your
into,
story, and then you pull that out, because I did hear an analogy to be an investigator. So Ethan
yeah,
and
for
myself
sure.
like to go to networking events, so it's a good thing to ask.
Yeah, so for this one, this was the first creative deal I did, and I had a virtual assistant in the Philippines, and she was calling for sell by owners for me. That was her job, calling for sell by owners, and she found this on Craigslist, and she would fill out a lead sheet for me. She had a script. This is what she would do, and this I live in Northern Virginia. I'm 45 minutes from DC. So this is in Reston. Nick, you know Reston. So this property, the sellers were building a new home, and this townhouse was built in the 70s. The sellers had a $50,000 down payment. They were building new construction, and they couldn't afford 2 mortgages. Here, you're the banker, Nick, right? So they were going to lose their $50,000 deposit because this house had not been sold. So when I talked to them, I went talked to them. Okay, guys, let me tell you something interesting. When I walked in, this young family had a purple room, a green room, and those plastic accordion type closet doors. It was all cosmetic. That's what the house looked like. So I knew that it wasn't ready for like a turnkey, someone who wanted a great, to move in. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's a piece of cake. No big deal. And we were talking, and when we were doing numbers, fair market value was around 400, like 385 to 400. So one of the things that I'm going to tell all of you is you have to buy right. So the most that I'm willing to pay for a property, if it meets my buying criteria, is up to 90% of the fair market value. Okay? Even if it's in great condition. Less, now 90% less any repairs they may need. So long story short, because I know this was only cosmetic, and I found out that the seller had a loan on the property for around 323, 325. This is the settlement sheet. So I bought this house for less than like $4,682, less than $5,000. What with a professional put down $10,000, non-refundable option consideration, and he was paying the monthly rent, which covered the mortgage. Guess what? A year later or 18 months later, he did not exercise the option, and so he moved out. So I ended up selling it on the market. So I put it on the market on the MLS, and I sold it for 400,000 for 410. And this is my wire transfer from that property once I did the closing. My buy price was 323, less than 5K down. I got a $10,000 forfeited option consideration, and then I sold it 18 months later, and my net was 75,000 without using hard money, without.
Let's pause there.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
that's a lot of money.
No, that's a lot of information.
I know, guys. I have so many cases that I know I threw a lot at you. That's a lot of
So let me
information.
get this right. So in layman terms, if I could repeat what you're saying, you had help from a virtual assistant to help you locate opportunities, and you located for sale by owners, which I'm curious why you chose that out of the thousands of other lists that you could buy.
I had a couple of different marketing campaigns, so I
Oh,
will go into that. But for
okay.
sale by owners was one of them to get leads.
Uh-huh.
I also like doing absentee owners. So I'll go into one of my favorite seller finance opportunity. That was a seller finance deal. Also, it could be expired. I have done a lot of deals from real estate agent referrals.
So then
So
you marketed it using the virtual assistant, and you had this is your system, right? So you could
yeah,
recreate,
this
you know,
is yeah,
the playbook, your playbook for this one.
for this one.
Is you hired someone to locate it, motivated sellers. Then you found one with a story, and you used
I went on the appointment.
you went on the appointment. You said the relationship was there. So they must have liked you or liked what you
Or,
said.
all of these deals, the only reason I've done them is because people like and trust you guys. The relationship is the number one thing.
So they liked and trusted you, and you bought it at 90%
A little bit below that. So I got it for 323. Fair market was like 385.
So the seller only made $1,000. I saw on
Yep.
the sheet. You
Yep.
paid 5,000. So you basically took over a problem that he had, and
Yep.
this was the thorn in his leg. Wasn't looking to make money off of it, which is, you know,
was super
out of
happy.
100 sellers, 99 would say, I want to make more than $1,000, right?
Actually,
Uh,
Nick, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Because people understand numbers, and this is like when I said you're an investigator and you're also an educator.
Yeah. Hmm.
So when I go on appointments, I have a process and I do my presentation and I have my credibility binder and I tell people that, hey, when you're about to sell the house traditionally with a real estate agent, and by the way, this seller for this product, he had it on the market for 3 months on the MLS and it didn't sell. And so he got desperate, so he put it on Craigslist himself.
Okay,
He had no
that's an
offers.
indicator. See how
Yeah.
the breadcrumbs, there was an indicator that said that he's really going to the niches of the
I mean,
marketing to go to Craig.
because he needed this done. He had
Yeah.
$50,000 down, and I solved the problem. So at the end of the day, see yourself as a solution provider, and you're here to solve problems. And this is what I tell people, guys. You're not looking for houses. No, you're looking for people who have real life situations that happens to have a house that goes along with it, and you solve that problem. And these real life situations are divorce, death, job relocation. Okay, it could be upsizing, getting a bigger house, downsizing. It could be happy reasons, it could be sad reasons. So as long as you're looking for real like life situations, and there's ways that we could go after these categories, right, Ethan? Ethan, have you been in the real estate industry for a while?
Yeah, I've been in it professionally for about 3 years and then about a year before personally.
Okay, so are you doing marketing?
To my clients, yeah.
Are you an agent or an investor?
I'm a hard money lender.
You're a hard money lender. Okay.
Mhm.
And an investor, and soon to be.
Yeah, well, done some investments on the side, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So for me, once I learned how to do outside of the box solutions like this, I stopped going to hard money. I started raising private money. But to me, hard money is points. I have to sign personal guarantees, 6 months or 12 months. And I prefer flexibility, and I train my private lenders. You know, I've had
We're-
private lenders who I pay 7% interest for a year.
We all have the hat of investor on. We all know that the 9 to 5, our cash machine, as Robert calls it, is our 9 to 5, and then our wealth machine is investing in real estate, creating wealth, creating opportunities. The second thing you said was that you were able to get someone in there to rent it out and pay the mortgage because you took over the mortgage was 323. That was the thorn in the seller's side that he really didn't want. So you said, hey, look, like I'll make this go away. I'll take it over. Talk about the logistics of taking over the mortgage. Did you walk us through that? Because that's a big part of it. And then the third part is renting it out. And maybe the bonus is that you sold it for a profit.
Okay. So the logistics, there's a lot. So logistically,
For this one.
for this one, yes. So there are certain disclosures. Like I have a whole process. I have like 11 disclosures. There's a documentation that the seller signed, so I have to protect myself. One of the things I did is I bought this property in a land trust. I buy all my investment properties in a land trust, especially any that I buy creatively. And I did not call the lender. So I did not call the lender and said, hey, can you qualify me so I can assume this mortgage? I did not do a formal assumption. Okay. So this was, I did it obviously with an attorney at a title company. And my disclosures, one of my disclosures is a power of attorney. So I got power of attorneys in my name, a limited power of attorney for this particular property. So that way I could do anything I needed when I needed to sell it. And I also got an authorization to contact the lender. So if something happened or if the loan got sold to another bank, I could always contact the lender on behalf of the seller as a representative. So these are just two of my disclosures that I always do.
Whoa, wait. So that is cool. I'm hearing a little feedback. But so you're saying that you had the owner sign a power of attorney, POA, power of authority, attorney, that allows you to contact the lender and also sign on the behalf. So this is making you, in my mind, quicker, faster to make decisions. If something goes wrong, you're really controlling the loan.
I'm in control.
And that has a level of trust that, signing these documents. I'm sure there are limited POAs.
It's a limited POA means particularly for that property. So I don't have a power of attorney over someone's livelihood where I can go to their doctor and sign things. Yeah. So it's a limited power of attorney for that particular property.
Wow, that's it right there. I could end the webinar, and you guys could go and
you got it. That was a gold enough nugget for you, Nick.
Yeah, I think that was worth it. The 30 minutes right there. So the playbook of having a system, the marketing system, right? And whatever you pick, I'm sure there's other strategies, like you said, but you focused on one. You found him, right? He was on Craigslist. That was a good leading indicator that this is gonna be a good appointment. You went on the appointment, so that could have gone wrong and went right. And then the reason these all had a line because you had to have that document signed, right? So if you didn't sign that document, it wouldn't kill the deal, but it made the deal easier. Because you're not taking, like you said before, you're not taking over the loan formally,
but
right? You're not taking the lender.
So I own the deed, so there's a deed transfer. I'm the owner.
You are, but having that.
The loan was in place, but the loan stayed in place, and then I had authorization so I could contact the lender whenever I needed to. And one of the things that I also do is when I close.
I think having control,
That's the biggest thing.
Okay. Trust and control.
So going back to your question, and then I marketed it, at least with an option to buy and rent to own. I did marketing signs, rent to own, and I found someone who loved it, and I said, hey, it said usually I would get around 2 to 3% of the sales amount as an option consideration. So if you put $10,000 down, and it was non-refundable. So a year later or 15 months later, his company relocated him, and he walked away from that money, no questions asked. He understood the paperwork. So I have different paperwork very different paperwork when I acquire, and very different paperwork when, I get it. I'll look for a tenant buyer. That's what I call them.
So talk to us a little bit about that piece. So you have the property, you have all the disclosures, the POA, you have control, you have the title, and then why didn't you just go with a long-term tenant route where you just collect 1 month security? Why did you add the option to buy, and where did you find them? Did you do marketing, or was it a coincidence?
I did. So I put it. I even had it on Zillow and on Craigslist. I did marketing, and I had signs in the area, and that's how I found it. So I found multiple people, and I didn't want to deal with tenants and toilets. And the reason why I did a lease with an option to buy is because I wanted to get a big chunk back. I wanted the individual to take the property and the maintenance of the property seriously. So my lease document says that anything under $1,000 is on them. Any little repair, so I don't get called if a sink or the toilet gets clogged. So that's something I like to use as an exit. Now, the other property that I'll show you where I did seller financing on, the seller was the bank for me at a 0% interest rate. That one was a long-term play. I did not want to do a lease option, and I had a tenant in there for 9.5 years, and I'm about to move into that property next week. So I have a couple of different properties. So yeah, I always
hear that
have
story.
an exit plan. Yeah, it's important to have an exit plan ahead of time, and it's good to have more than one exit plan. Like it's cool to be able to say, hey, if you want to rehab this property and the seller, you could make money, fine. You want to do a long-term tenant, that's great. You want to do a lease with an option to buy, like it's good to have more than one exit, especially when the market shifts, guys. This is very important when the market shifts. To have a backup plan.
So to wrap this example, this case study up, and I like how you the case study because this is really getting into the weeds. You had a market for your ideal tenant and what you're looking for, and you had to be consistent. You had to put signs up. So it was multiple channels. So I really like that. I think that right there is a playbook you could implement right away. Raymond mentioned I acquired a property last year by loan assumption, 25 years left, and 2.75%. Wow, that's a
You
great
did a formal
rate.
assumption. That's fantastic.
Oh, did you do a formal assumption? Are you
do.
living in it, or did you?
No, I kind of just rented out to friends and family. It's a cabin, but yeah, it was a pocket listing in my brokerage. One of my fellow agents, they were about to get foreclosed on, so it was already they had an auction date and everything set, and she had it listed. She was trying to sell it, multiple price reductions, couldn't sell it, so I swooped in last minute and acquired it, negotiated a good price that was fair for us both, and yeah, I just had to come up with a difference, but basically that difference came to pay for everything they were behind on. They had like a second lien on the second loan on the house, and a lot of unpaid utilities and stuff, but it was a good come up. And yeah, I was very enticed by that 2.75.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have helped a lot of people in similar situations, Raymond. A lot of people in pre-foreclosure, and the thing is, if you learn how to use this strategy, you don't have to be the one that contacts the bank to do a formal assumption. One of the things that I do is I've reinstated loans, and I've helped people in those situations when they're a week away from foreclosure, and I've stopped foreclosure.
We were gonna go that route. gonna do the sub 2.
Yeah.
If because the loan assumption process was taking so long, it took like half a year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Really?
yeah, exactly.
What
That's
bank?
crazy.
What
That's
bank?
crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe because it was being foreclosed on.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, there's things you could do.
So
But
I
you
want
know,
to, before we transition to this next one, I'm going to do something for 5 minutes. Is that we all know that we're very busy, and we have three or four people on this call, and I want to acknowledge that you have attended this call. You've moved your schedule around, whether you're working out, doing two things at once, but you have a goal in mind, and Naya is a coach. So acknowledging the dynamic between an investor and a coach, the coach has the game plan, the systems. You might have done one before. So I have the pleasure and like the privilege to know that Ethan had an opportunity to present himself. Now, whether that was the right opportunity, whether he was right, whether he needs a coach now or not, or I believe if you practice perfectly, not maybe not perfectly, but if you're practicing, you open your eyes up. So if you're looking for, I always use this analogy, a Lexus, then all of a sudden you go to the dealership, you leave, and you see Lexuses everywhere. If you're looking for a deal, all of a sudden you put your head up, you see deals everywhere. So how can we help you, Ethan, Raymond, Emerson, keep your eyes up, and be on the lookout for these deals? Do you mind sharing, Ethan, for 1 minute about the dynamic of the deal that was presented to you? It could be very high level, like, or you could get into it if you'd like to use this time for that. I think it's a good example. And the same thing with Raymond. What is your next step, right? Like you've done one. What's your next step, Ethan? What's your next step, Raymond, Emerson?
Yeah. So that deal was cool because it came through an acquaintance who he wanted to utilize equity from the property to throw back into the market. He was like trading stocks on the daily. And so I had originally told him like, hey, like go like do a HELOC, do a conventional refinance. He was living there. And after some time, he just never pursued it. So then he had told me like, hey, if you want to help me out with this, like, I don't really know what I'm doing or what's good rates. But I do want to move out of here. And if you're interested, we'll do some sort of seller financing partnership agreement. And we can just start becoming partners and rent it out and do our thing. And so that one was sweet because it could rent for somewhere like 4,000, maybe. I mean, averages were saying 4,500 a month, but conservatively and just looking at what rentals were going for in the area, I put it at 4,000. And we could have pocketed like something like $1,500. I told him I could get him a small cash out of like 150,000 or so. And then he had it listed online for like 980 to sell. And that's why there was some urgency, is because he was trying to get rid of it, but it wasn't moving. And I told him up front, like, this isn't worth anything more than 850. But if you want me to also partner on it, I would need like some sort of incentive to like take on that risk of a partnership. And so like I would do it if you give me a purchase price of 750. And then there was a whole split on the back end. And that one was really good because it made me think more about like what makes sense and how does the deal operate and what are the roles and responsibilities of the partners, because it's not the traditional seller financing where then it's all on me. It's like I was entering a scenario with somebody. And so yeah, that was pretty sweet. We didn't end up doing it though, because we got to a certain stage where we had agreed like, yeah, 750 purchase, and here's what we'll do, and here's what the roles and responsibilities were. But what had spooked him on it was he had already owned it in a trust. And so I had said like, hey, if you add me to the trust, then I can represent the entity through any financing products, and we can kind of carry it out that way. And then once he got to that stage of talking it through, because he wasn't the only person on the trust, he had realized some of the other members represented more like counterparty risk and they weren't going to be removed. And so he's like, yeah, like I don't really want to subject you to that. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that either. And so we decided to pass on that. But it was a good practice run, and it was an interesting one for sure. So that was sweet because it just came up, and I told him multiple times too, like, you don't really need me. I know how to do this stuff, but like, you could also do it yourself. And
So
yeah,
mhm.
it was sweet.
Thanks for sharing, Ethan. So this is the thing. One, you learned a really good lesson. First of all, running through different scenarios, having conversations. And one of the things that I always do is, obviously you found out that there are more decision makers than just him. So one of the things that I do from the get-go, before I even go look at the property, I look at the deed. Not the deed, I look at tax records, and then I'll see who's on the deed. If there's more than one person, if it's an entity, I want to see information about the entity, because I have wasted a lot of time like you in the past when I didn't know what I know now. So I'm telling you, one, I invite everyone to make it a rule and be like I want to have a conversation with all the decision makers, especially when you go to an appointment. And when you, like, one of the things that I train my coaching clients on in my process is never go to an appointment to look at a property and give an offer, because I tell people you need to be prepared to give an offer on the spot. So then Raymond or Nick doesn't come along a day later and take it from you, right? So I'm always ready to give an offer, but I won't go on the appointment unless I know the decision makers are there. One of my rules. The second thing I want to mention is this. I would not be comfortable to get in a partnership with someone I don't know. So I have heard too many stories. I've had issues in the past too. And some of my coaching clients would have gotten in partnerships with contractors or someone like, or even friends, right? That's a whole different side. But getting into a partnership with a seller and you're an investor, and then them trying to say that you're trying to take advantage of them, I would not want the seller to be in the deal. If I'm going to be the active investor and planning on doing certain things, I would not want to get into a partnership with a seller. That's one of my rules. And then the third thing is, like, you always have to be. I like what you mentioned, that the 750 purchase, that you said you had to have like safety in there, and obviously he didn't like certain numbers. Things didn't work out. The last piece that I wanted to say is, it's not your job to turn sellers into investors. If you start doing that, then you're confusing. You're making it too cloudy. Then who are you there to solve a problem and help them move on with their life? Or are you in there trying to throw ideas around and say, oh, I could turn you into an investor, we could do this, we could do that? I don't have those conversations. So, like, I'm very clear with my positioning when I go on appointments. So I would recommend that you do that too. Like, have your criteria. Okay, and criteria is like a big module that I go into. Criteria on your properties, even criteria on the type of sellers you want to go after and help. Because if you're all over the place, then it's going to be hard. So let's talk about this seller financing opportunity.
Thank you for sharing, Ethan. I think the gray area is always gray area is always interesting. You know, it's like they're friends, you know, or you start off the conversation one way and then you have to shift another way. So I've certainly been in those conversations where, you know, a relationship turns into a lead, and it's like, well, you know, this is my realtor hat, this is my investor hat, and you have to kind of shift the conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Nayia. That was helpful.
You're welcome. Good. I'm so glad. All right. This particular property, I got from an absentee owner list. So one of the things that like, it's marketing campaigns, right? So I would do I had my criteria of the type of properties, my area, and I would send out absentee letters. And follow-up is important because depending on the type of campaign you have, when you're dealing with absentee owners, many times they have tenants in their properties and they call you because they're curious. You say, I could buy your house. And I did like a yellow letter campaign to them or something like that. The sellers were living 6 months in South Carolina and 6 months in Australia, and they were renting this property out to a diplomat. And I talked to them. I had sent them information, and it took over a year before they reached out again. And because I did multiple touches, because the marketing game, guys, we need touches. So I touched them again, and then she called and she said, I'm either going to sell this or I have to renew the lease. And I don't really like my the people living in there, whatever. And I said, okay, then what's their information? Long story short, I went in as a representative of the landlord, and I took photos. I did a walkthrough, and then I sent, because the sellers were out of state, so I sent them the photos of the property and the issues that it had, how it was not maintained well. And then I invited them. I said, I recommend you guys come here and look at the property and let's see what we can do. So the husband and the wife a week later came, and I asked them, guys, this was a free and clear property. And the biggest thing that I want to tell everyone is not to make assumptions. It's hard. It's our human nature to always make assumptions. And ask questions. So when they came here and we met at a coffee shop, I said to them, do you need the money? Do you need all the money now? And they said, no, we're okay. And I said, okay. Are you open to doing seller financing? And they said, sure. So we signed this at a coffee, like at a lunch place or a coffee shop, and I did an addendum. So this was almost 10 years ago. It was July 11th. Wow, it is 10 years ago. I closed in October. So it was, I put $100 like EMD, earnest money deposit, and I have, it says held in escrow. And initially I was going to put down 10%. Fair market value was $450. And because they were willing to be the bank for me at a 0% interest rate, I was willing to give them 100% fair market value because I'm getting such a great deal, guys. And you can see here, I don't know if you can read it in the additional terms. It says seller to receive a deed of trust for $400,000 payable at $2,500 per month for up to 10 years. And then payments start on, these payments were going to start like 6 months later because I wanted to do some work to it. And I wanted to give myself enough time to rent it before I started making payments. Something else that happened. During this time, I went to Greece for a month, and then I came back when the tenant was going to move out, and the property was vacant, and I had a water leak. And it was a week before closing, and then we had to deal with insurance, a bunch of issues. The good thing is the insurance took care of it. But we learned a lot of lessons along the way. So because insurance took care of it and we were dealing with this, I ended up bringing less money to the table. So anyways, I did some work to it, fixed it up. This property, I'll tell you something funny. There was a diplomat who was a tenant before, and he had 2 wives. One was living this house has 2 kitchens. It has like 7, 8 bedrooms. So it's a lot bigger than it looks. So it has a kitchen on the main level and like 4 bedrooms, and then another kitchen in the lower level with another 3 bedrooms. So I purchased this property. I fixed it like this, and I turned around and I did a lease, a flat out lease. This is my Alta And this is my promissory note to the sellers. So I brought like $29,000 to closing, and the promissory note was that I'm paying $2,500 a month. I had done my homework. I knew that fair market rent was around $3,200, $3,300. So I wanted to make sure that I'm below that so I could cover taxes and insurance and be able to cash flow. So that's exactly what I did with this property. And so let me tell you where I'm at right now. My tenant, so I purchased for $225, October 2016. The seller held the note for $375 for 10 years at a 0% interest rate. Okay. And then I turned around and I was renting it out. And I started out at $3,300 a month, and it slowly went up to $4,400. And my tenant just moved out in May. And because she moved out, it was a right timing thing. My kids are like adults now, and this like last month they just moved out of the house. So I'm like, well, you know what? I don't need 6,500 square foot home. I want to move into that house and rent out the basement. So I'm in the middle of a renovation. I'm moving next week. But let me pause real quick, because this property, guys, will at the end of the day will have made me over $1 million. I refinanced it last year, and I did a cash out refinance. The note left was $132,000 from $375 it had dropped. And I got a $30,000 cash out for the refinance. And the mortgage, like, it was below what I was getting in rent, so it covered it. So right now, I went in like 2.5 months ago. I started demoing everything, the floors, renovation, like, and right now, like, I took out walls. I'm renovating bathrooms. I'm doing a wet room down here. Today, I'm gonna go pick a granite so they can come and do the granite. But
Oh, good. Those are,
yeah, it's gonna look really good once it's said and done. I have new
wow.
flooring
All
in
the
there.
floors, and a nice bay window.
Oh yeah, it's on a half an acre, no HOA. Like, I'm super excited. Fair market value is gonna be like over $850. And I'm planning on doing an Airbnb or renting the basement out, so it will cover more than like close to half of the mortgage, if not more than that. But that's one on seller financing. Here's one that I just bought last month.
Oh, so if I could recap, you found you did your marketing campaign. It was towards absentee owners. You had the letters, so that costs a little money. And then again, you had to work for the appointment, do a follow-up, have your database, right? This wasn't the only person that contacted you. They did agree to meet, and then you asked the question. You prepared the contract, so a little bit instead of having a lawyer.
Prepared. Yes.
And then at the end, you solved the problem. You worked out an arrangement for them to finance it instead of having the bank finance it, and it was no interest, so it was really lucrative, right? You protected your stance. You did pay market value for the house, and then you finally refinanced out of that, pulled some cash out of it. You had a tenant paying for some time. So again, the strategy worked, but you did have to pay for the marketing. You had to have the relationship. You had to have the follow-up, and you had to convert and have the paperwork, right? The last paperwork was the POA. This time it was the the agreement, the payment arrangement.
Yeah.
And you had to negotiate, prepare that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one that I just purchased last month. Free and clear property. And I bought these 3 cars with it. A Dodge Challenger, a Jeep Gladiator, and a Ford Bronco, wrapped with the purchase of this house. And the right here, the photo is the seller and his wife. And then I have Jim and Suad my partners on this, like partial partners. They went in. They live near the area. So this is in Fredericksburg, Virginia, about an hour away from where I live. And this lead came in. I also do paid leads where I paid $250 for this lead. I have companies, like a company that I pay to bring me leads, and this was one of those leads. And because this was a little tough, the owner was talking to 5 or 6 investors. And you know what? The decision maker, yeah, 5 or 6 investors, and other people gave him a higher price. But ultimately, it comes down to relationships. Does he like and trust? And then, like, first of all, we hit it off. We hit it off. We even started having conversations, like cultural conversations, spiritual conversations. Like, we really liked each other. Like, the energy, it just felt good. And actually, here's a purchase and sales agreement. This is what's cool. He gave us the titles to the cars like 2 months before we closed. Who would do that, guys? Just the titles alone, we could have sold the cars and made over $100,000 just in the cars alone. And actually, here on the purchase and sales agreement, we're going to get a motorcycle, a Sport Glide, but then we removed it. We changed our mind, so we didn't get the motorcycle. He had like 7, 8 cars, 5 or 6 motorcycles, everything paid off free and clear. He was just like, he had retired from the government, and those were his toys. He loved cars and motorcycles. And because he wanted to downsize on his life, they moved to another property like an hour away from this. So here's my purchase and sales agreement. I gave him $1,000 cash because I got all the titles to 3 cars like 2 months beforehand, and we closed it. It's on it's on 1 acre. No HOA. It's near like not a metro, like a lot that like trains people can, like for commuters. So yeah, so it's a really good location. It had a pool, an acre. It has a big garage, like but it's a 3-bedroom, actually now 4 bedrooms with a basement. 2 full baths. And this is the purchase and sales agreement, not the purchase and sales agreement. This is the ALTA, the settlement statement that I closed on last month. And what's cool is that I leveraged my self-directed IRA. So I borrowed $60,000 from my IRA, my retirement account, and I made my IRA a partial owner, 50% owner of this property. So now when we sell it, and he's willing to be, this is the other thing, he's the bank at a 0% interest rate for us for 7 years, and we're making $2,500 monthly payments to him. So within 7 years, this property would have over $200,000 in equity, even if the price stayed the same, just in principal balance drop.
Wow. I know we're running against time. We're definitely gonna have to have Nayia here for part 2. I love the relationships.
And this is, I'm in West Virginia here at his cabin. We became good friends, and he invited me over, and we went there for a weekend.
You can't make these stories up.
Yes, you can't make these stories up.
Yeah, real estate leads you many ways. Before I close out, the flex, could you the flexibility leverage expectations? I see that.
Flex model.
Can you explain that, and then where could people find you?
Yeah, and I'll give my my contact at the end too. I have developed like a model. First, it's always friendship first, right? Friendship and relationships first. Then after that comes flexibility. When people like and trust you, when you're their friend and they see you as a friend, then they're more likely to be flexible. That's where you ask questions. Say, hey, do you have a loan? How much is left on the loan? Hey, is the house paid off? Great. Do you need all the money now? And they'll say, no. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to be flexible if they like and trust you. Okay? Then you figure out the leverage piece. Your investigator, right? Is there a loan? Is there not a loan? Are they behind? You want to solve the problem. The third piece is give good expectation, like set the expectations, okay? Clearly define the expectations of what they're doing, what you're doing, okay? And don't make promises you can't keep, especially when you buy houses creatively subject to existing loans. Don't tell someone that, oh yeah, I'm going to sell you this house in 6 months or a year, and you hold on to it down the road. So I don't make promises that I cannot keep. And that's where I go to the fourth step, is like exceeding the expectations. Like, I love exceeding expectations, and like that's when they love you, and they'll give you like the best reviews, the best testimonials. I bought a house like this from a former federal judge, guys. I didn't know he was a judge till the day after closing. And it was a combination of seller financing and subject to. And I was like, holy cow. I bought a house like this from a retired CIA agent in a gated community on a golf course, and I moved in there with my family. I have the case study. Okay, we'll do those next time. And you
let's
can
have
do
a part
that.
2 for sure. Where can people find
sure.
you?
So yeah, and then the last X is exponential growth. That's the multiplier effect. You keep doing this over and over again. So anyways, where you can find me is, here's my email. Here, all right, there we go. So the book a call with me. Please not next week because I'm moving. The following, like first week of August. Nick, do you want to put that in the chat? Thank you. And that's my email. Like, I love just as much as structuring deals and making money. I love coaching. I love helping other people, because that's the impact piece, that we can change lives. And I've had coaching clients where they've told me, oh my gosh, Nayia, because of you, I was able to put my kid through college. Or because of you, I helped my brother or my mom from losing a house to foreclosure. Like, you can't put a price tag on stuff like that. So,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're going to post the
pleasure.
recording. I dropped her booking if you want to do an appointment, and her email. Thank you so much, Nayia. I can't wait to see
My
what comes
pleasure.
in, and catch up in the next few months, see where you're at and how the move-in went.
Yes, thank you, Nick. All right.
We'll
And who does
tune in
they
next
come there
time,
and visit you?
next week. Yeah, next
person?
week, same time, we're going to go through another case study of Airbnb versus the rent by room, SRO, single room occupancy models, and comparing the two, which one works. So Devin from PadSplit, he works here locally, and Jeremiah with Airbnb. So look forward to that. Invite your friends, and if you can't make it, check out the recording. See you guys next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Nick.
All right, thank you.
Nick, send me the info for next week. I'd love to be on that one. I want
All
to
right.
see what it's about.
Cool. Will do.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.